Greetings, Cybertronians. I'm Dr. Wait a minute. Something's a little wrong here. Sorry, just give me a second, please. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So, Christmas, that time of year where the entire family gets together and indulges in one of life's greatest treasures. Capitalism! Christmas, that time where everyone will go out and buy gift cards if they can't figure out what people want, when they could have just given cash instead. Christmas, where global warming has gone so far through the roof that Australia's on fire right now. Jokes aside, I actually hope everyone's doing alright. Many people have lost their lives and their homes, and I seriously hope they can get back on their feet after this ordeal is over. But one of the things that I look forward to in Christmas is bringing back the Legendary Transformers Marathon, where I go over one Legion or Legends or third-party Legends figure every day of the month until Christmas. Although this year, I'm going back to where it all began. So where did these small-scale Transformers truly begin? Well, where else would they begin? But with the advent of the Micromasters. So originally when I was envisioning this whole series, or the second series of the Legendary Transformers Marathon, I had the idea to start off with the Airstrike Patrol team, seeing as that was my favourite Micromaster set from Siege. But turns out I can't find one of the members, so this is a last minute change and I'm switching to the Rescue Patrol. I guess it happens. So of course we have Stakeout, we have Fix-It, who is the leader of the team and probably the dumbest name for a Micromaster I can think of, Red Hot, who was renamed to Red Heat in the Siege line, and Sea-Watch, who is my favourite because he's a boat. I suppose we should get the Siege ones out of the way first, because these two are completely new, whereas we've kind of discussed the updated versions of these on the channel beforehand. So, out of the way you go. Stakeout has had some discoloration over the years. He started out a much darker black, and I've confirmed that from several G1 collectors, but over the years he's kind of dulled to a sort of stone grey. Having a look at the way this is designed, I actually prefer the look of the vehicle mode to this version instead of the Siege version. Granted, I don't like how both of the light bars are painted red. I prefer the fact that the Siege version had both blue and red, but honestly, the pale white and the general shaping of the car, it just looks more interesting. I mean, you definitely bring in a little Siege version over here, and yeah, the Siege version looks more like a police car in terms of its proportions, but I kinda like the sort of futuristic look of the second one, the G1 version. I don't know, is this just me, or are there other people who agree with me on that one? One really nice thing about the Micromasters is that they all have pinned wheels. It was to make them roll better, and now you can see these have got clipped wheels to cut back. One thing that's not so nice is that the wheels have rusted, so they don't really work, but hey, nice thought. And next up we have Red Hot, not to be confused with Red Heat. Well, because he's the original, he didn't have his name changed. And yeah, there's no contest, it's not like, I kinda prefer this version. No, 100% this guy looks way better than the Siege version in this mode. Let me just bring in the Siege for comparison to prove it. Bam! This looks like something the Thunderbirds would use, that just looks like a retool of Big Shot / Top Shot. This is much, much better. I mean, look at it. They've even put a little attention to detail by putting a couple of blue paint splotches at the front there, and you've got the nice, well-defined windows and the nice, well-defined light bar at the top. Yes, it's the same on both sides, but that was the same with Stakeout. Whereas you look at this one, and it's like, what am I looking at here? Not to mention, this section is also much more defined. A bit hard to see, so maybe if I do that, yeah, that's better. Yeah, you can see this is a much more well-defined ladder section, whereas Siege is just a bit of a clumped mess. Overall, I really, really like Red Hot. He is probably one of the best of the team, maybe the second best, aside from, Sea-Watch. But before we get on to Sea-Watch, I think we should discuss our team leader, Fix-It, and Fix-It is an ambulance with some lackluster paint. I mean, you look at the side here, you've got molded windows, but then they paint over it with this ambulance text and these red stripes, and it doesn't work very well, because if you look in, it kind of, splits at the seams, which is very common on Transformers paint-wise, even to this day. One thing though is they've got the blue paint here and here, so it kind of proves that with Stakeout they could have split the paint between the two and had, you know, alternating light bars, but hey, what can you do? I do really like the way they've done the window here. It's a very clever design. You know, it breaks up the thing from just another Ratchet clone. Nice touch. But the lack of paint and windows is a real bummer. Like, even at the back there's just nothing. Come on, that's not cool. Come on. And of course we have Sea-Watch. He's not the best of the bunch, but he is my favourite because he's a boat. And I've just gotten off a sea spray kind of thing, so I'm really into boats at the moment. Although, to be fair, I actually do really like boat transforms in general. We do need more of them. He's only got one mono wheel back here, which is a bit of a shame. Which means he rolls like dog shit, but still. The moulding here is really, really nice. I do wish the yellow paint was a little bit cleaner on these sections, but the moulding is lovely. You've got these nice little guns back here, all these little side parts, the front here. The front section is separated by two different plastic things. It's not paint, but hey, it doesn't matter. It's nice separation anyway. Maybe you could use a little bit more paint overall, but hey, it's better than fix it. Now, last year I got a lot of complaints in the size comparison department. A lot of people said that they didn't understand how big they were because I only made size comparisons to Crumbs. So let's rectify that this year. Size comparison with your standard Legion figure, your standard Legends figure, your standard Siege Micromaster, your not so standard Lego minifigure, and Crumbs. Okay, so these are all Micromasters, so their transformations are pretty much identical. I know Siege Micromasters have a little bit of leeway with how they transform, but these guys are as basic as they come. For Red Hot, you extend the legs like so, and if you haven't already, make sure that that section is folded in, and you're done. That's literally it. You just fold out the legs. You can fold out the arms if you like, and I do recommend it because for balancing issues, you know, that does really help. Well, hey, I got him to stand. That was something I was kind of not expecting. For Fix It, you extend the legs like so, and again, you're done. You could bring out the arms if you want, but again, absolutely done. For Sea-Watch, you, again, rotate the legs out like so, just like with Red Hot, and actually you bring the front of the boat down as well. So then, it's a little bit of variation, but not much when you compare it to most Micromasters. And with Stakeout, you just do the same with the legs and the same with the bonnet as you did with Sea-Watch. And the legs don't fall off, which is a big plus over the Siege version. Seriously, what were the designers of the Siege version thinking? Do they know about tolerances? And the Rescue Patrol and their robot modes are basic Micromasters. Out of many of the sets, these do look more uniform than some of the sets, despite the fact that they are two different plastic colours that are then swapped between the two. For example, you've got white and red, and then that's swapped to red and white, and then you've got black and blue swapped to blue and black there. They're gang molded together. But yeah, you don't buy Micromasters mainly for the robot modes, they're mainly for the vehicle modes, as is the case with many G1 figures. But especially these, because at their size, they're pretty dumpy, but they've got their own charm to them. Fix It! He's the leader of the bunch! He's got a completely blue painted face, a completely visible screw, as most Micromasters do. He's kind of facing forward with his knees. But he is what he is. He's not the best Micromaster ever, and he's kind of wearing a huge hood over there, but I kind of like his style. He's definitely the weakest of the bunch, though. I don't know why they made him the leader. I would have thought that Red Hot was the leader, but no, apparently not. Stakeout? Well, he's alright, I guess. As I mentioned in the Siege review, he's wearing silver underpants for some bizarre reason. Also, his face is painted entirely silver. They could have painted his eyes, but they didn't, but I guess they were on a budget. Bit of a backpack, as with many Micromasters, and many Combiners now that I think about it, from Combiner Wars, but yeah, it's okay. It's pretty much basic Micromaster 101. Bringing the two side by side, and I know I've already done this in another video, but yeah, you can see he definitely got a glow up. I'll take this any day over this. Despite the fact that this happens quite frequently. I'm honestly surprised that Red Hot doesn't have as many issues standing. Again, he's got blue underpants this time, but you look at the way he's profiled, and he's got this huge backpack, and the legs are all the way forward. Well, not to the same extent as Fix It, but still, I'm surprised he stands so well. But, you know, if you really want to make him stand better, you can always utilize the little pole there. I wonder if that's what gave Hasbro the idea to make that little third leg for Combiner Wars Hotspot. So I'm wondering if that was the case. I'll have to look up if that was the case originally in G1 with Hotspot, where you could use that as a third leg or not. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to figure out. And of course, the best one. And proportions-wise, I also think is the best of the bunch. Colors-wise, yeah, in robot mode also, probably the best. Like, his transformation isn't the most interesting, and his vehicle mode isn't really as good as Red Hot, you know, personal biases for boats aside. And his profiling, yeah, not great. And yeah, he's gonna have standing issues, of course. But I like him. I think that Red Hot's more solid overall, but I do really, really like Sea-Watch out of the bunch. Their articulation is all identical. Some of them have split legs, some of them have a mono leg, but yeah, they bend at the knee, they bend at the waist, although it's very tight, and I don't want to break them. And then their arms swivel as so. It's pretty much standard Micromaster affair. And of course, size comparisons wise, first off we have a standard Legion figure, a standard Legends figure, a standard Siege Micromaster, a not so standard Lego minifigure, I guess it's not actually Lego now that I think about it because it's a bit of a knockoff, and Crumbs, who is a Micromaster like the rest of them. Yeah, it's funny how I've kept him around for so long. Yeah, overall, I've come to like these a lot more since I was doing this review. In general, they're much better than I give them credit for. Maybe even better than the original Airstrike Patrol team. In Siege, the Airstrike Patrol team is better than these guys, but in G1, yeah, these are pretty damn good. You know, all things considered, I think these guys still hold up. They're not the best Micromasters ever produced, but they are still a very fun set, and even modern collectors would have a lot of fun with them. If you compare these to some of the minicons that came out recently in Thrilling 30, yeah, they do surprisingly hold their own. Sure, they're not as good as the modern Micromasters on shelves at the moment, but considering that the Rescue Patrol that's on shelves is a piece of shit, I'd still recommend these over that. However, if you go for the repaints in the 10-pack, yeah, they do knock these out of the park. But if you're comparing retail versions to retail versions, these are still brilliant. Besides, we never got the boat in the main line, so that's a bit of a shame. It is kind of strange they never named Barricade in the movie after Stakeout over here, but hey, what can you do? To this day, I still highly recommend these. And if you can find them for a cheap price, no more than maybe 30 bucks. Yeah, definitely get them. Of course, before we get to the actual Legions and Legends lineup, there were a few small lines that filled in the gaps, and tomorrow we're going to take a look at that with the advent of the spy changes, with probably the best mold of the bunch. Let's take a look at that tomorrow morning.